Hello artists! This is our Kaleidoscope project. So in this project we are going to talk about symmetry, value, which we just talked about in our last project, and blending. We're going to blend our primary and secondary colors to make tertiary colors. So these are some examples of what we're about to do. This is the first step, creating a symmetrical design. Before I begin, a kaleidoscope, if you're not familiar, is a thing you look through. It's like a little tube usually that has shapes inside, and there's a mirror inside that reflects the shape into a symmetrical design or pattern on the inside when you look into it. So this is a kaleidoscope drawing because it is symmetrical, right? We have a single design, and I'll show you how to do this, that repeats and reflects along the line of symmetry. So this fold here acts as a line of symmetry, which says, you know, this is almost like a mirror. When we look in the mirror and we raise our right hand, it looks like that we are waving our left hand back at us. So it's almost opposite, right? So while this line on this side goes outward and up to the right, this line of our triangle goes outward and up to the left. So if we were to fold it, all of these shapes would line up and match. So this is symmetrical and repeats in all four spaces. So this is what we're going to start with today. The first thing we need to do is tear out a clean piece of paper. So watch me carefully. I'm going to pull from the bottom, and I slowly move my hand, moving it across. And it's okay if it doesn't come out perfectly because we're actually going to tear it again. So we need to make a square. If you create origami, this is also how you would create a square out of a rectangular piece of paper. I'm going to take this bottom left-hand corner, fold it up, across to the opposite side. So like this, okay? And then I'm gonna slide this corner up until this comes to a point. Sliding, 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 sliding. Okay, so I want this to all line up over here and this to come to a point before I push and crease. All right, so this tells us that we need to remove this top piece, and that will give us a square piece of paper. So here's what I do. I fold this down along the line of that triangle and crease. Use your nail too, if you have a nail that you can use to really push and crease that line. Then I'm gonna flip it and fold it the opposite way. That makes it easier to tear off. So again, I'm using my nail to crease. Okay, and then I'm going to watch my hand. I have my finger here holding down my paper, and I'm slowly going to tear a little bit and then move my hand down, tear a little bit, move my hand down. So nice and slowly. This is garbage, and when we open this up, we have a perfect square. All right? So we need to create a design, and this one's smaller obviously, but we need to create a design that will repeat symmetrically on all four corners. So I'm going to start by just folding this paper edge to edge. Make sure you line things up, and then crease. And then I like to open it back up and fold it the other way, edge to edge. Make sure it's lined up and crease. All right, so while this is folded, I'm going to fold it down into a little square. So on that fold we already created, I'm gonna fold it this way. So the first thing we're going to do is draw a complete shape, so a full shape. In order for a shape to be a shape, it just has to be a closed figure. So something like this triangle is a complete closed shape. So just one shape. It could be a heart, it could be a big blob in the center. You know what, I might do that. I might make a big, almost like the Nickelodeon blob. something kind of crazy looking. All right, so you could just do a square. It's up to you, as long as it is a closed shape. So I'm using my pencil for this part to start. The second thing I want to draw is some sort of line from one edge to a second edge. So I might use a zigzag line, maybe you want to use a curly Q line, it could just be a straight line, some sort of line. What do I want to do? Maybe I want to do this. From one edge to the other. It could be from this edge to the edge next to it, just as long as it's from one side to another, okay? And it doesn't have to go through your shape, that's up to you. The second thing I'm going to do is draw a shape that goes off of one side. So maybe I have a triangle that goes off of the page. I'm going to draw it on an edge that's folded. So I think I'm going to draw a circle. Or, no, I think I'm going to make a flower shape. Could be something crazy, but it goes off the page so it's not completely closed. So you can see it. And then these edges are pretty empty, so I'm going to draw a line that reaches 3 sides. So I'm just going to stick with a straight line for this. I'm going to go from one edge to the second edge and then connect it to a third edge, right? So it goes 1, 2, 3. All right. If you want to add a couple more shapes in there, you can, but this is all we need. One full shape, one line that goes from one side to a second side, a shape that goes off one side that's not a completely closed shape, and one that hits 3 sides. 1, 2, 3. All right, so what I'm going to do next is open this up, and I'm going to Sharpie over those pencil lines, making sure you put something underneath so we don't bleed our Sharpie onto the desk. So go ahead and trace carefully over your pencil lines. Okay. Now that I've traced this with Sharpie, I'm going to use my eraser to take away any pencil marks that we can still see. Okay. Now that we have our design in one square, we need to get it to the other corners, and it needs to be a reflection. So where we see this shape, we drew it going off of the square so that when we repeat it and it reflects, it will end up closing this shape on this side. So here's how we get this over here. Because we Sharpied this, we should be able to see it through the paper. So I'm going to fold my design behind. Okay. So my design is on the other side, facing out. And you should be able to see through your paper. You might not be able to see it in this video, but I can see the lines through here. So I'm just going to trace what I see with pencil first. You might need to hold it up in the air. try your best to get those lines just how they look on the other side. So then we can open this back up and you should be able to see the design reflected on the other side. So now we're just going to Sharpie over this. Make sure that you open things back up before you Sharpie. If I were to Sharpie this with my paper behind it, it would bleed through. So go ahead and Sharpie your lines again. So there is 1/2. We can see that the shapes are going in the opposite direction, but they are all repeated in a reflection. We have to making sure that we traced all the correct lines. We're not missing anything on the other side. So again, I'm just going to erase any pencil marks I see, and then I'm going to flip this whole side that's colored to the back and do the same thing. Trace everything you see with pencil first, open it up, and Sharpie. Here it is. Everything is traced, my pencil lines are erased, and we can check and, if we fold it inward, do those shapes match up and line up with each other? That shows us that it is symmetrical. This is called a mirror image symmetry drawing. We have a line of symmetry on this fold. We also have a line of symmetry on this fold, right? Things line up if we fold it this way. So this is our kaleidoscope drawing. Now we're going to talk about value and blending to make some tertiary colors in the next video. Nice job.